This week, Friday night game, Friday Night Lights. You just talked about the matchup this week.
Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about the venue. You know, in this country, the month of September is probably the best time of year to try something like this, to have Friday night games. Many of us in competitive football have long felt that Friday night would be a great, opportunity to bring people together. Let's face it, it's a model that's not lost on junior hockey. I think in every town across the country there's a junior hockey game on Friday night that pulls the community together. In our case, it could be, a great idea moving forward. They're trying it in Toronto to try and engage their student body to come out and have some fun on a Friday night. We're going to have a large contingent of Queens followers, alums, former players, that kind of thing. So I hope that the weather cooperates so that it's a great Friday night venue in Toronto. The U of T Stadium is well lit. It's a great location. It's a nice place to play, so we're looking forward to it. U of T is not unlike ourselves in many ways. They're a team just trying to pull it together. They have about 16 or 17 seniors there that are just trying to hold on and come of age at the right time. They've got some really good defensive backs, a couple of really good linebackers. They've got a nice running back. The quarterback's a senior. They've got a couple of good receivers. The battle, I think the game will be won along the line of scrimmage. So we'll see who wins that battle there. In the film that I've seen of them, they definitely play with a little bit more jump at home than they do on the road. So we expect them to be tough, and we're looking forward to a great outing. There's lots at stake. We're both 2-2. I think that the game is equally important to both teams.
Great. Open up to questions from the floor.
Defensively, Coach, I think a lot of people predicted your front seven would be real good, and the running years you've given up almost not the past two games, and you're way in front of the league. What's been the key to that success that way?
Well, we got a great coaching staff, guys who are very competitive, really want to win. They want to get the kids as prepared as possible. I think we've got a good young secondary that's coming along. Matt Webster here representing those guys. We've got a good mix, actually, of young and seasoned players there. And the front is good. Defensive line's as good as anybody's. The linebacking core is good. We also have a little bit of depth there this year where somebody can step in off the bench and play a couple of innings when they're needed. So it's a nice group. It's really coming together. They held in there pretty good in the first two games, and we've been able to produce some points to lighten the load a little bit. It would have been good, and they were ominous against the run last weekend. I don't know how many, 10 yards rushing, negligible, let's say. So in the OUA, to win it, you need to be able to stop the run. You need to be able to play good defense. But when you get down to the end, there's going to be teams that are going to try and run the ball down your throat, so you got to stop that. And then that, of course, puts extra pressure on the defensive backs too, because that's going to force them to throw, and you need to have that play into your hands. So I don't believe that you can win the conference unless you're the best on defense. And on offense, you need to be good enough. But I think you need to be the top dog on defense to win it. And that's our guys. They're among the top defenses right now. And over the next couple of weeks, they're going to rise and really have a reputation going into the postseason.
You talked about the coaches there. You had Coach Bess, who I know you loved, and then Leroy take over. That's got to be a bonus.
Well, I mean, how many times can you get, get a quality guy like Bess step aside and get to somebody of Leroy's caliber, available? That was a bit of a godsend there. It just so happened that Leroy's circumstances brought him to us. He looks like he's having fun. He enjoys not being the head coach. Can you believe that? I know what he means, too. But he's doing a great job. He's got a great relationship with the players. The players really like him. He's been around football long enough to know that the mundane aspects of preparation need to be made fun. The position coach, can play a big role in making the day-to-day operation of the football team fun, and that's what he's done. So he's been a great addition. Everybody knows that Pat's a schemer, and he's trying to put together a scheme that's going to cause problems for the other team, and he demands from the players that they make a commitment to stop the other team, and we're getting better every week, no question about it.
You're 9-0 against U of T. Your coaching career? Do you have
You just jinxed it right there.
any secrets?
Secrets. No, I think we've had some great games against them. You know, I think there were games that we won that we should have won. I think the games early in the decade were more competitive. I think we were fortunate enough to take a few of those when the teams were about equal. And I think, you know, if you want to put it historically correct, they had a couple of, you know, shifts in coaching there that were a little bit problematic. You know, they had a couple of interim situations that, you know, when you take over for a year and that kind of thing, it's, you know, it's tough to get any momentum, and then you change the coach the next year. And so we've had, you know, stability, I guess, over the last 12 years here. We've tried to keep our coaching staff pretty much, the core of it we kept together, so that's produced some consistency. And yet we've also, over the last few years, been able to bring in at least one new coach a year who brings something to the program, which is good. So you've got that core, you know, stabilized, you know, on the staff, and then you bring somebody in who's done something well. This year we had Leroy, and we brought Bob Bindon in Montreal. I think that his impact on the offensive line has been a little understated so far. He's done a really good job. The kids are really coming together. We had Mike Stagg a couple of years ago. I can't say enough about the two young Ryans and how important they are to our staff. So that's probably contributed to our success over, you know, a number of the teams. We've got pretty good records against most of the teams over the last decade.
Coach, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Where do you feel you're at as far as, I know in the past we've talked about, you know, the three facets of the game. Obviously offense isn't hurting defense, isn't. Are you happy with where things sit?
Yeah, we look like we're on track. We're on track, but there's some proving that needs to be done. This is sort of the dog days of the season here, weeks 5, 6, and 7. Here's what typically happens at this level. Some guys get nicked up, they get hurt. You're going to have to, you're not likely going to be playing these games with a full complement of guys that you started the season or hopefully finished the season. This is when you lean on your bench a little bit. You know, so you, as I say, they're best described as the dog days of the season. That's sort of that long stretch where, unfortunately, in our case, because of the two early losses, I mean, every game is a playoff game. Every game's a game of consequence because, you know, we can ill afford to have, you know, a bad turnout because, you know, the consequences are you could be on the road in the playoffs. You're at risk of not making the playoffs. So our guys know that. What they've focused on is getting better as a football team every week in the end, and that's, you know, after those first couple of weeks, the coaches, we took a look at each other. Okay, what do we got here now? So, I mean, I think my job was just to sort of keep everybody believing that defense is there. Our defense is good enough to compete at the end, and they're just going to have to hold in until the offense comes along. And fortunately, we've had the special teams kick in with some production. And the defense also stepped up an area that was, they were remiss last year, as they were getting turnovers this year. Okay, in the Laurier game, got 3 picks, and then a couple more last week against York. And so we are on the right track. What we haven't done is played a 60-minute game yet. Okay, even against York, there was a letdown there where we played probably 7 or 8 minutes of the third quarter in our own end, and that's, you know, against teams that are more capable, more experienced, you'll pay for that. You'll pay for a poor field position and 2 and outs, and they put together a couple of drives there in the third quarter to win the field. You know, a couple of passes that got away from us, and that put them in position to score their points. As I said, against more explosive opponents and a tighter score, that will cost you. So we have, you know, we've got some things we need to improve, but we're on the right track.
All right, maybe if you could comment on 2 athletes we have here.
Well, these are 2 great young talents in our program. I'll deal with Chris because he's the 3rd-year player. Chris was part of that great St. Michael's College dynasty in Toronto, the 3 Metro Bowl team. He was one of the prolific skill players, very fast, and we had great hopes that he would bring that speed to our receiving corps. And of course, the summer that he came, he had a shoulder operated on. Hate to bring up bad memories, but he basically reported here his freshman year was a rehab year. He didn't, I don't think he practiced that, Chris, at all that year. He did a lot of snapping to the quarterback that year in Skelly, that kind of thing. So one of the things about a little bit of adversity like that in your football career is that, you know, something gets taken away from you and it'll give you more resolve. So Chris has dedicated himself to getting in great shape. You know, he's a much more physical specimen now at this point in his career than he was when he got here, and he's still very fast. So he's emerged into the starting core of receivers. He might even be our fastest guy. I hope I don't insult anybody. We haven't actually raced them off here, but he brings another player with great speed to the offense, and he's fitted in there nicely. He had a great play at York where he broke a tackle, 5-yard out, broke a tackle, and ran it a good way. What, 79 yards for a touchdown? I'm not sure. How many was it? How many yards was it? Not sure. Okay, usually receivers are right on that. They know how many yards. So he's added another threat to the arsenal, and it's just made us a better team. Matt Webster from Western Canada High in Calgary. Matt was one of the top DBs in Calgary last year. We were very excited about the connection we had. He's a friend of the Dandria family, so he was inundated as to the culture of Queens, and we're delighted to get him. I had one of my former players, Sean Timmins, a defensive back at Concordia, who knew of Matt and recommended him highly as well. And we just made a connection. Matt came out here, he liked the environment, and he's fitted in here nicely. Got his first interception against Western last year, I believe, and his first concussion in the same game, too. So he's come back much more physical. You know, he's put on a few pounds, and it's very evident in his play. He's much more physical this year. He's making a contribution to special teams, and we're very excited about the secondary that we have moving forward over the next couple of years, and he'll be a big part of that. So both these two young guys here have really stepped up and made our team better, and they're part of sort of the new wave that's going through the program. So glad to have them, and I think you're going to be hearing lots about them in the future as well.